Another year, another gacha game. HSR, also known as Homestar Runner if you're a cool kid, or Honkai Star Rail if you're not as cool. This is the last of the Hoyo Big 3 that I have to talk about. I don't know if it's going to be really long or really short. I know what I want to say, and I think I can get it out in as few words as possible, but maybe not, so we'll see. Where do we start with HSR? I guess let's start with a bit of a recap on my playthrough and how I felt going through the game. Right at the start, I think the prologue and chapter 1 do a lot to get you invested. The story starts strong and has a really memorable opening. It's a great introduction to the game as a whole. It gets you started in the main plot and adds a lot of mystery to it as well. The lore and rules of the world are interesting, like the paths and the hierarchy of power. And in a game that's a gacha JRPG, you can't really ask for much more than that. Chapter 2 wasn't so great. It didn't really have the punch that Chapter 1 had. It got twisty, but it seemed mostly irrelevant, but it kind of picked up again in Chapter 3. Yeah, it was confusing, but thanks to story recap videos, I was able to get a grip on what was going on with everyone and their stories in Penacony. It was getting a bit too much with all the dreams in a dream stuff, but it was cool. It had cool moments. The fantastical elements were entertaining on their own. The story started to feel bad when we went back to the Chapter 2 area just to fight werewolves. It really didn't fit with what we just did and felt tacked on, but also had cool moments and brought back some old characters, the whole tournament arc. But that might have been a story event and not main story. It just felt like they wrapped up the main story in Penacony too quickly, and they needed to stretch out the patch with something else. But I was ready. I was ready for Chapter 4. This was the first time being here for a brand new version. Unfortunately, half the voices were missing, and I wasn't really feeling the opening of this new story. Starting to run into some problems here. I think the story in Honkai Star Rail has lost a lot of steam since I started playing. When I started, the story was in the middle of Penacony, so like mid-version 2. And I think that's honestly where the story started to decline, but that wasn't really the main problem I'm having. Honkai Star Rail is a JRPG. There's gonna be a lot of talking, and that's not a problem. The problems were the exploration area. Oh my goodness. Amphorius was the slowest, boring, mind-numbing exploration area. It was so bad that I did drop Star Rail for a while. If you watched my Zenless video, I got my 1-year login achievement a little late, and that was because there was a time when I would log into Zenless one day, skip a day to do something else, probably play Monster Hunter, and then log into Genshin the next day. And I was just swapping between those two every other day for like a month. I was done with Star Rail for a time. The only reason I picked up Star Rail again was because of the anniversary and all the rewards that came with it. That free Ron May saved my account. I don't know how long it takes to get this, but I also got the returning player bonus as well. I'm guessing it takes a few weeks for that to come up. Since then, I have been keeping up with the game, and now I think is a good time to talk about how I feel about Honkai Star Rail as a whole. I think I'll take it back a step and start talking about the positives since I was already spiraling into a negative. So hold on for a bit. I actually have quite a bit to say about Honkai Star Rail before I start talking about the negatives. Like I said at the start, Star Rail starts off with a bang. Not just in the story, but also in the world building. Out of the big 3, I think HSR does the best to build interest in the world. Zenless is pretty close, but it's a little simpler and easier for me to wrap my head around. Star Rail has this hierarchy of rules and powers, and the unexpected ways it can affect the world and characters keeps it exciting. There are things in HSR that counter the enjoyment of the story, as I've said before, but for the foundations of the setting, it offers a lot to really get you invested. The character design in HSR is top tier, just like Zenless Zone Zero. I do prefer Zenless Zone Zero, but I think they're both in the same camp of really good. You've got your waifus, Kafka, Firefly, Herta, and or whoever else happens to catch your eye. But unlike other gacha games, maybe not unlike other gacha games, but definitely more prominent in Star Rail, is that HSR also puts out some killer dudes. You've got the man, the myth, the legend, Mr. Daniel Hung. You've got Boot Hill, and the rest. But hey, you know what? At least they're trying. You might get more than one guy a year, and he'll probably be plot relevant too, or even better, meta relevant. The bottom line here, HSR has a lot of different characters that you can pull for, and they give you a lot of different reasons to try and go for these characters. Maybe you like their design, maybe you like them in the story, or maybe they're meta and you just need them. And this isn't new to gacha games. It's the same song and dance as all the rest, but HSR gives you a bit more of these character interactions. Like earlier, when I said that old characters show up again in the story or events. It just gives you that extra little bit more for character investment. One more thing I think HSR does really well are the limited time events. If it wasn't for Zenless, I would say HSR has the best ones, but it's kind of on an even playing field now. Obviously, you have the battle ones, the check-in once a day ones, the very quick and easy ones that are basically just free. But then you have the big boys, like the Bejeweled Birds, which they've used a few times now, so it's getting a little old. But there was just that Diner Dash one that was really good. There's the bump into one another in the pool, the one that's like Monster Strike, if y'all played that. The kart racer was okay, it was meh, but at least it was something. These events are great, and there are more than this, and these aren't even really limited time events. They just get added to the game. Some of the rewards might be limited during the actual timed event, but HSR has a system that lets you get past light cones and other rewards just at a very reduced, somewhat slow rate. Isn't this everything you could ever want in a gacha game? What could possibly go wrong? What has me turning my nose at Star Rail now? It really only boils down to two things. And it's probably the two things you don't want people finding issues with in your minimal gameplay JRPG gacha game. The one I mentioned earlier is the exploration areas, and the other is the progression in the endgame. So let's talk. First up is going back to the exploration areas. This one did not start off as a negative, and has only really become an issue, I would say, for maybe the last 6 or so months. I think around the end of Penacony and the start of Amphorius. Let's break it down into a simple gameplay loop. You have your story sections, where you obviously get the story and character scenarios, or whatever is going on at the plot at that time, which leads you into the exploration areas, where you solve puzzles, find treasures, and fight battles, either with random encounters out in the open or the story boss encounter. Loop and repeat. Pretty simple, pretty standard for any RPG. And this was fine for a majority of my playtime with HSR while progressing through the main story. Now, what has happened? I now find these exploration areas so grueling to go through. I no longer want to progress in the story. Going through these areas now provide negative enjoyment of the game. Early on, when you're starting your account, you can get a lot of useful items and equipment for your character and your account as a whole. Since there is a backlog of rewards to obtain for new players, the time investment into these zones early on is worth it. There really is a lot of benefits to these areas for new players. But as I've built up my account, it's become less and less enjoyable to go through these areas. The only real reward for me to get are the limited amount of gacha currency each chest gives you. Character equipment is not useful at all. It's all low quality. And when you do get a level appropriate piece of gear, it will most certainly be worthless to use. The puzzles are fun for a while, but they get repetitive after seeing them over and over again. Some areas have mechanics that require you to use some kind of machine to alter the environment, either to progress forward or reach a secret area, usually with a chest of worthless junk waiting for you. And none of this stuff is snappy and fast. It's always, look at you, use this machine, look at what it does, do the movement, look at what you just moved, now disconnect from the machine. And you better hope you did not do it wrong, or you have to sit through all of that even more than you already have to just by default. It's bad. It's like the TV mode in Zenless, but nobody gave the HSR team the hint that it sucks. I mean, TV mode wasn't that bad, it just got really repetitive. But HSR, it's kind of way worse because it's slow. The battles are just pointless. They're just there to waste time. The only ones worth doing are the ones that block chests, and even then, the worth may vary. Typically, in a JRPG, the random encounters would be used to level up your characters, but HSR being a gacha game, that gameplay loop just does not exist. But worry not, because devs listened. In version 3, we were gifted the gift to skip the story. You know, the main point of a JRPG. Thank you so much for giving me the ability to skip 45 minutes of yapping, not know what's going on from that point forward, and speedrunning me to a dungeon that will take 3 times as long to get through. So thanks. Thanks for letting me skip the good part of the game to get to the part that sucks faster. Thank you so much. Currently, as I'm recording this, I'm at the Evernight and 5-star Don Hung part of version 3, and I am not taking another step into the story. I'm done. These areas killed any interest I had in the story, right out of the gate at the start of version 3. I refuse to take one more step into some old ruins, roll balls around, swap from past to present, fly a glove, fiddle around with spotlights, and I'm done now. Done with the story. It wasn't the writing, it wasn't the acting, it wasn't the characters. Maybe they did yap a little too much, but that was not the problem. And I don't see a fix coming for this one. Now, it's problem number 2, which is the endgame progression. After 1 year plus, I have not been able to get those last few stars on any game mode. They're just so out of reach. And I can kind of pinpoint why. One is I had to spend a lot of time building up a lot of characters. And I don't mean equipment and good roll kind of character build. I mean getting them to max level, or at least in that last ascension, their skills and light cones. It takes so long to get this done for one character, and this game wants you to build so many different teams for so many different game modes with minimal to no overlapping character use per mode. So for a bulk of my playtime, I was just collecting resources to level up the characters I wanted / needed to use, which doesn't leave me with a lot of time to focus on equipment. In all this time playing, I think I maybe have 2 okay pieces, and the rest are for the birds. I am technically at fault for this. RNG aside, I went into HSR with no knowledge about it and just went with guides for who I wanted to pull for. And not guides on who to pull for, guides on characters I've wanted to pull for. I said in the first Hoyo video, I regret pulling for Kafka, and yeah, I think it was a pretty bad waste of time and resources. Even with the buffs, I would still need more characters to build a competent dot team. Bottom line, if I knew what I was doing, I could have probably built up some teams and cleared every mode by now. This doesn't seem like the worst thing ever, and it's really not, but now there's a new game mode, and you need to fully clear the other modes to gain access to it. So I'll probably never see it. I don't know if this is a whale mode or what's going on, but putting a mode like this there and the way you have to gain access to it doesn't sit well with me. It's very demoralizing. I'll throw up my characters on screen right now. If any of y'all want to take a crack at fixing my account, please let me know. I'll forge, craft, farm, whatever. At least I have a backlog of stamina and crafting materials. Also, I am just looking to pull for support characters. Sunday, Hyacinth, Sprinkles, Hua, whoever. I have most of who I really want to focus on. And that's kind of it. I don't really want to talk about the pace at which new 5 stars are released, but there was a post going around saying that HSR has as many as Genshin, but has been out for half as long. So you think that would mean rewards would be doubled across the board? Yeah, right. But some of y'all watching would know the state of things better than me. Honkai Star Rail for me is on life support. I'll log in, spend my stamina, do my weeklies, and that's it. I'm done with the story. It's too much to go through patch after patch. I'm having more fun in Zenless and Wuthering Waves. Genshin is still holding its ground, but something's gotta eventually get chopped on the block. This is probably going to be it for Hoyoverse games. I didn't get into the beta for Honkai Nexus Anima, and that was probably their only chance to get me to play it. So, that's it. End of the video. End of the video. Welcome back to the end of the video. If this one seems a little rushed, a little less thought out, it probably is. I really did not want to spend that much time on Honkai Star Rail. But that's it. There's only like maybe one-ish gacha video left in the tank, and that's not happening for a good while. The usual. If you liked, leave a like. Leave a comment if you have any critique or comment or any questions or whatever. I read every comment. And subscribe. I mean, if you like gacha content, that's probably not going to be the majority of videos going forward. But, you know, if you like the video, there'll be more. Goodbye.